and those are my high impact but high cost, while her framework library was both high impact and low cost. So that insight helped her design a tiered model that balanced customer transformation with, their sustainable margins. So the principle I want you to remember is high impact plus low cost is scalable. And then high impact plus high cost is premium positioning. Okay, premium positioning. So each module should stand alone when you do that work of listing out all of those modules, aligning them to an ICP and naming them high cost, high impact, or otherwise. So now that you've listed those, you want to turn them into you want to modularize them, right? So modularizing means breaking your business down into clear, self-contained parts that can stand on their own or scale together. This is how every strong platform, SaaS, or service company evolves. Anyone, right? They move from what we do to how it's structured. So for app or platform founders, this might mean identifying